This is a stimulus check update for April 23rd. So in this video, I'm going to go over the updated timeline of when you should expect your check, as well as many other questions. As you can see, this video is longer than usual because I answer a lot of your questions that you leave in the comments down below. If you want your specific question, if you click the description tab, you'll see a lot of different questions and with a timestamp next to it. Just click that timestamp and you'll get to the answer of the question that you want. Before we get started, ask your question down in the comments below. Let me know your status. I'm going to try to help you as soon as I can, and if not, then I'll make a future video like this. First question is, when am I getting my check? Let's go over the updated timeline. So what we know now is a bunch of checks went out. Supposedly 80 million went out last week. I'm not sure if that number is accurate just because a lot of dead people got it. There were errors as well, but we'll just go with what the IRS is saying. Out of the 90 million Americans waiting for the check, it is 50 million Social Security, 15 million veterans, 5 million SSI, 19 million non-filers, and 500,000 RRB. Now, yesterday, April 22nd, a lot of people received direct deposits. IRS hasn't reported a number yet, but if you haven't received your direct deposit, wait until tomorrow, Friday, to receive it. That's when they do their big payments. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so hopefully you got it. Let me know down in the comments if you received it yet. Hopefully you get it as soon as possible. Now, when it comes to Social Security recipients, SSI, SSDI, veterans, RRB, so the IRS has your information and they updated saying that they will send it. It's really a shame how long they're taking. You should have been first in line, not last in line. But there's a number going around saying April 29th. 10 days after the first direct deposit, which was on April 15th. You may be thinking, 15 plus 10 equals 25. We're talking 10 business days. They've also reported that it'll be late April or early May. So let's hope for April 29th, and that which is a Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday for you to receive your check. Now, if you get your benefits via direct express card, direct deposit, or mail check, you're going to get it the same way that you get the money from the government. There is no additional action to be taken. They have your information and hopefully they send it as soon as possible. Now, if you want to get more stimulus check updates just like this, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so I could give you information to let you know of when you're going to get your check as soon as possible. Next question is, what if I'm not going to get direct deposit or direct express, or the government doesn't have my information? How am I going to get my paper check and when? So if we look at this schedule here, this is when you should expect to get your paper checks. Now, 5 million checks are going to go out every week, and it's based on income. So as we see here, it's going to be 10,000 or less April 24th, which is tomorrow. Then the following week in May 1st, 20,000 or less, 30,000 or less, and as you can see, all the dates here, it's going to go in increments of 10,000 according to your income that you reported on your taxes or just whatever the government knows of you. Now, ideally, you don't want to wait for a paper check because there could be serious delays. There hasn't been any paper checks mailed out yet, and with the way that the IRS has been doing things, let's expect delays and stalling and lies. I don't want to get your hopes up with these dates, but this is what the IRS is reporting. So it's going to go by 10,000 increments all the way until September 4th. If you don't fall into any of these categories, then September 11th is when they're going to give all of the leftover checks for people who don't fit into this category. Now let's go into some more of your detailed questions of how to get it sooner, how to fix errors in terms of getting your check. So first question, do you have to pay taxes on your stimulus check? Quick answer, no. It's completely separate. You don't have to report it as income. It is not taxable. Next question, what if I haven't filed taxes in 2018 or 2019? When should I expect my check? So if you fall under the category of Social Security, SSI, SSDI, RRB, or veterans, then there is no action to be taken. The government has your information. However you're receiving the benefits is the same way that you're going to receive the check. If you don't fall under those categories, you're going to have to go to the non-filers tool. I'll leave a link to that down in the description below. And by using that tool, then you're going to give the IRS your information, whether address or direct deposit, so that they could pay you. If they don't have your information, then they will eventually pay you, but it may be weeks or months. So the sooner you give the IRS your information, the sooner that they will be able to pay you. Next question, I haven't got my check yet. What action can I take to get it? So just as I answered before, if you fall into any of those categories, you have to give the IRS your information. If the IRS does have your information via tax returns 2018 or 2019, or if they just have your information on file, then there is no action to be taken. Unfortunately, you just have to wait. Next question, if I owe taxes this year, will I still get a check? Yes, as long as you fall under the income requirements to be eligible to receive a check, you will get a check no matter what. In regards to back taxes, if you owe taxes from, let's say, previous years, you haven't paid taxes in, let's say, 10 years, you are still eligible for a stimulus check and it will not be garnished. You'll still get the check and you don't have to worry about it being taken away to put towards your back taxes. If this is the case, give the IRS your information as soon as possible so that you could get a check. Next question, I got a request from the IRS via social media to ask for my bank information so that I could get my check sooner. Should I give it to them? No. So that is a scam. If the IRS is asking for your information, whether physical mail in your mailbox or email or social media, do not give any information to the IRS with those methods. Those are scammers. They're trying to take your information, to take your identity, take your money. Do not do anything with the IRS unless it's officially through the IRS website. If you're thinking to yourself, yeah, whatever, who's gonna fall for that information, that scam? There's actually a lot of people who still fall for the Nigerian prince scams. There's a lot of people who don't watch media. So I know we're having this pandemic and social distancing. There are a lot of people in isolation that would potentially fall for these scams. So reach out to your parents, your grandparents, your uncles, your aunts, anybody who you think would fall for one of these scams. Let them know not to give any information to the IRS. This is a prime time for scams just because everyone is isolated and they can't talk to each other as much as usual to confirm information. So be aware of scams. Don't give anybody information unless it's the IRS through the IRS website. Next question is in regards to the Get My Payment tool, or what I like to call the Waste My Time tool because it rarely works. So what does payment status not available mean? This is probably the biggest question that everybody gets who is using the tool. Now, it means a few different things, and the IRS is not being very helpful with this part. So there's a number of reasons for this message. It could be that you didn't file your taxes in 2018 or 2019, therefore you would use the non-filers tool, linked down in the description below. Or it may mean that you're not eligible for the stimulus check, or it could just be that the IRS hasn't processed your information to give to you in the portal. There are millions of Americans who are using this tool on a daily basis, including myself. I have to update my information and I have not been able to get through. Next question for the Get My Payment tool. I put in all of my correct information, but it locked me out. What do I do? So this is another common error that a lot of people are having. When it comes to putting in your correct information for the Get My Payment tool, look at your 2018 or 2019 tax return and make sure that the information matches exactly to the tax return with your adjusted gross income, with your address. Make sure that street is not ST, or however it appears on your tax return. Put that into the Get My Payment tool. That's helped a lot of people actually get through. The only information that the IRS has is whatever you put on your tax return, so they want that to match whatever information you put in to make sure it's actually you. What if the Get My Payment tool said that your stimulus check was supposed to come on April 15th, direct deposited, but it hasn't showed up yet? So there's actually quite a number of people with this same issue. It could be a number of reasons, which I'll get into later on in the video, but it could be that your bank account could have been closed, it could have been the wrong bank account, you could have done it through a tax preparer like H&R Block or Jackson Hewitt or TurboTax, and it's being returned back to the IRS. The IRS claims that they're trying to fix this issue, so hopefully in the next round of payments you should receive it, which would be April 22nd, April 23rd, April 24th. If not, hopefully the next round of direct deposits. And unfortunately, at this time, there's no way to correct any information if it says that the check has already been deposited or processed. Some parents want to know if their children claimed as dependents who are 18 or older, can they still get a stimulus check? So no, anybody claimed as a dependent, whether a child over 18 or even adults, will not be able to get their own stimulus check. I think this is a big flaw. They could have done a little better in the CARES Act to correct this. But if your child is 18 or if let's say your parent is 70 years old, claimed as a dependent, they will not get their own stimulus check. Next question is about deceased people who are receiving checks. Now, I know a lot of us living people are upset that deceased people are receiving their checks before living people who need it. But there are some certain cases where widows, widowers are actually receiving checks into their deceased loved ones' accounts. So if this happens, what should you do? So the reason why this is happening is if your loved one or whoever has passed away in 2019, but they filed their 2018 taxes, then a lot of them are receiving stimulus checks. So according to an IRS representative, he says, I would recommend that people who do get refunds for deceased taxpayers leave the money in their account until such time as the IRS comes with a process of whether they want to refund it or not. So this is from an IRS representative. So if money does go into your loved one's account who has passed away, then be really careful. I'm not sure if it's a good idea to take it out and start spending it, even though you may need it. If you have to and it's about survival, then go for it. But they recommend not to because the IRS might actually take it back. If you don't need the money and it's not a desperate situation, leave it in the account. If you do need the money, then use it. If it's a matter of paying for food and surviving, then you need that money. What if I filed my taxes with a tax preparer like Turbotax, H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, among a few others, and I am not receiving my stimulus check? Why is that? So the reason why is because these tax preparers, what they do is anytime that you file taxes with them, they open up a temporary account. This way they put the money in that account, they take money off the top for fees, and then they deposit it into your direct deposit bank account. Now, it's different for each of these tax preparers. Some of them offer cards, like TurboTax offers a card, or H&R Block, the Emerald card, and the money may go onto that card. It may bypass the temporary account and go right into your bank account. It's kind of a mixed bag, and you could have the same people in the same situation come up with different results. The tax preparers have claimed that they've given the IRS the proper information for the bank account for direct deposit, and it's basically in the IRS's responsibility to then set up the correct processing for it to go into the right bank account. At this time, the IRS is still working on this issue. But another source said that if the check keeps getting sent to the IRS, it's getting rejected from the account and going back to the IRS, then you will put in the category of receiving a paper check. Hopefully they fix that soon though. Next question, will I get a check if I owe back taxes from previous years of not doing my taxes? Yes, you will. I answered this earlier. You will still get a stimulus check even though you owe back taxes. Next question is, I have a 17-year-old child. Can I claim him or her as a dependent and get the $500? The answer is no. You can claim as a dependent, but they have to be under 17 in order to get that additional $500 as a dependent. What happens if the stimulus check that is sent to me via direct deposit to a bank account that is closed? So if your bank account is closed that the IRS has on file, if you've received a direct deposit from them in the past, it's closed, then what's going to happen is it's going to be sent to that bank account. The bank is obviously not going to be able to recognize it and then send it back to the IRS. And then after that, once it's sent back to the IRS, you will be put in the category of getting a paper check according to your income. As I mentioned, the paper check schedule earlier on in the video, you could click down on the timestamps to see that. At the time of filming this video, that is the current process going on for closed bank accounts via direct deposit. but the IRS has reported that they are trying to fix that, so you could check the Get My Payment tool to see if there are any updates. What is the latest update if I filed my taxes through a tax preparer like H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt, or TurboTax? So according to this article here, there was an update April 22nd yesterday, so the IRS website says that some of the filers' payments may have been sent to the bank account or debit card that was through their tax prep company. So what's been happening here is if you filed through one of those tax prep companies, they have opened up temporary bank accounts so that they could take your refund, tax refund, put it into that bank account, take money from it for fees, and then pay you. Now, there's been a lot of issues because the IRS has been sending it to sending the stimulus check to the temporary account, and it has been returned back to the IRS because the owner or the recipient of the stimulus check doesn't have access to the temporary account. According to this article with the New York Times or with Time Magazine, the H&R Block spokesperson told Time that the IRS has bank account information for all H&R Block clients who receive tax refunds electronically and is determining when and how stimulus payments are distributed. Then says the IRS has created confusion by not always using clients' final destination bank account information for stimulus payments. So this is a big issue that's been going on for anyone who filed with tax prep companies. Then it said, this is still H&R Block, we share our clients' frustration that many of them have not yet received these much needed payments due to IRS decisions, and we are actively working with the IRS to get stimulus payments sent directly to clients' accounts. So what's been happening here is all these tax prep companies has sent their information, the important information, to the IRS, and they've reported that the IRS hasn't really done much to correct the situation and process these payments correctly. So according to a TurboTax spokesperson, IRS has the appropriate banking information for all TurboTax filers, which can be used by them to distribute the stimulus payments. This is true regardless of whether a customer chose to receive the refund on a debit card, selected refund transfer, or other services. So basically what TurboTax is saying and the other tax prep companies is that the IRS has the information, the ball is in the court of the IRS, but they aren't taking action. So tax prep companies are saying, we did our part, it's up to the IRS to do their part for everyone to get their stimulus check. Also, one more thing to add, if you are with TurboTax, any TurboTax customer who selects a refund transfer or a debit card and gets a stimulus payment sent from the IRS to those accounts will receive those payments without delay or fees into the account they received their tax refund. So that's from the TurboTax spokesperson. Can I call the IRS and sort out my information over the phone so I could get my stimulus check? No, you can't. Unfortunately, the IRS has shut down all phone lines and there's no way to directly communicate with the IRS regarding stimulus checks. Does the Get My Payment tool have updates for SSA or RRB for stimulus checks? No, it doesn't. So at the time of filming this video, IRS has not provided information for the Get My Payment tool for SSA, RRB, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, as well as veterans, which is really horrible that they are not updating or even sending the checks to these groups. As I mentioned earlier, there are more direct deposits that went out yesterday, April 22nd, today, April 23rd, and April 24th, tomorrow, Friday. So check your bank account these 3 days and see if you see a pending deposit in your account and see, hopefully you get the paycheck or the stimulus check that way. How often should I check the Get My Payment tool? So the IRS has reported that every night they are updating the Get My Payment tool to see the payment status of your stimulus check. And so it doesn't really make sense to check it multiple times a day, maybe once in the morning after they do the update to see if there's any new information. If you don't see anything in the morning, then just check the next day. It doesn't make sense checking constantly because then you'll get locked out and there's no new information, and you'll just drive yourself crazy. For the Get My Payment tool, if you try to look up your information, it may ask if you recently paid your taxes or received a refund for your taxes, money owed or money refunded. If you don't fall into either one of those categories because you didn't pay your taxes, then you would have to use the non-filers tool to provide your information. Now, it depends on which category you fall into, if it's Social Security, SSI, SSDI, veterans, RRB. Those categories, the IRS has your information. They're stalling for whatever reason to provide you your money, and the Get My Payment tool isn't updated with your information yet. If you don't fall into those categories and you didn't get a refund or money owed, the IRS says they don't have an answer for this yet. Next question is, I'm married to an immigrant who doesn't have a social security number yet. Will I get my stimulus check? Yes, you will get your stimulus check. Basically, the way it works is for the stimulus checks, for anyone eligible, is you need to have a social security number. Depending on the immigration status of the person, if they don't have a social security number, then they will not receive a stimulus check. Even if you file your taxes jointly as a married couple, you're not going to get that $2,400 for both people. You'll just get the $1,200. Can banks seize my stimulus check if my bank account is overdrawn? Unfortunately, yes. So part of the CARES Act, they made a major mistake here in not making a provision allowing banks not to seize money from a person's bank account if the account is overdrawn. So if you have taken more money out of your bank account and the balance is negative, there's been reports of USAA taking the stimulus check to cover that overdrawn amount and giving you whatever is left over. So for example, if you are overdrawn in your bank account by $100, it's a negative $100 balance. Then if you get your $1,200 stimulus check, they'll take $100 and they'll give you $1,100. Now there's been reports and pleas from the IRS and the government asking banks not to do this for now, just because of the dire situation. There are jobs lost. The economy is tight, money is tight, and I don't think it's fair for the banks to take money from people with overdrawn accounts, especially now when the stimulus check is a life raft for people to just survive during these hard times. If this is the case and you fall under this category, maybe create another bank account and provide the IRS that new bank account. This way that the money, the stimulus check won't be seized. Supposedly banks are holding off from this, but I'm sure there are banks are legally allowed to take the money. I didn't receive money for my children under 17 claimed as dependents. What do I do? So unfortunately, if you already got your stimulus check and your dependents, you didn't get $500 per dependent, then you're gonna have to wait until 2021, and when you do your taxes, you'll get that $500 per dependent, capped out at 3 dependents, so $1,500 potentially, depending on how many kids you have. You'll get that as a tax credit next time you do your taxes. Will I get stimulus money for dependents who are adults? No, you won't. You only get stimulus money for dependents who are under 17, so 16 and younger. Doesn't matter how old the dependent is, you will not get $500 unless they are under 17, so 16 and under. I was claimed as a dependent and I am an adult. Will I get a stimulus check? Unfortunately, no. So this is another major mistake of the CARES Act. If you are claimed as a dependent, it doesn't matter what age you are, you could be 70 years old. If you're claimed as a dependent, then you will not receive a stimulus check. My son was born in 2020. Will I get $500 for him claiming as a dependent? Unfortunately, no. So any babies born in 2020, so January 1st, 2020 and on, you will not get a $500 credit for claiming them as a dependent. Next question, I receive veterans benefits. Do I need to provide information to the IRS or file a tax return to receive payment? So no, this is according to the IRS website. The IRS is now working with the Department of Veterans Affairs, and you do not have to provide any information to the IRS in order to receive a stimulus check. The same way that you're receiving your veterans benefits will be the same way that you receive the stimulus check. Big question is always, when are veterans going to get paid the stimulus check? they should have been paid already. It really is unfortunate, but there is still no date. The IRS has all of the veterans' information to get paid. It was just waiting for the IRS. So there's payments coming out this week. Some are saying early May, so look out into your bank accounts maybe May 1st or on, but IRS is not giving a definitive answer for veterans. Next question is on the IRS website here. I need to file a tax return, but am concerned about visiting a tax professional or local community organization in person right now to get help with my tax return. How long is payment available? So this is common for senior citizens to go to the local library or wherever to file a tax return or do it by paper. Not many people are used to doing it online. So if you have any relatives, friends, or family who fall into this category, let them know this. So if they do not take the proper action to get their stimulus check this year for 2020, then they could claim it next year when they do their taxes for the year of 2020. So they would get it in 2021. So even if someone falls through the cracks and they don't get a stimulus check, but they're eligible, they will get it. Not in a timely manner, but definitely will get it the next time they do their taxes. Next question on the IRS. Will the IRS contact me about my payment? So yes, they will contact you about the payment. If you want, you can pause the screen here and read this, but they are not going to email you, text you, call you. If they do that, those are all scams. Do not reply to anything unless it is a letter in the mail from the IRS. The only thing the IRS is going to let you know is that if you received your payment. So 15 days after you received your payment, they'll send you a letter in the mail. They'll never mail you a letter in your mailbox asking for more information, to submit your bank information, to submit your social security number. Those are all scams. Beware of that. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your parent, grandparent, tell them to not send any information to the IRS via mail. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope these answers helped you. If they didn't and I didn't get to your question, then put it down in the comments below, and if you want, I'll make another video like this or answer your comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support. These videos take a lot of time to find the answers to all your questions, the proper answers from credible sources. If you want more videos like this, hit the like button, subscribe, share it with your friends or family. Also, if you want to get free money or free stocks, I have a spreadsheet down in the description below of several different investing apps like Webull, Robinhood, SoFi, about 10 or so of them. If you sign up for them, you get a free stock just for signing up. Some require a deposit, some not. But in this hard times, it could be a good way to get at least some money flowing. If you want to watch more stimulus update videos, you could click either one of these videos over here, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, be safe,